to another show, the Women's Champ Show on tonight. Hi, Narada. Good evening to you. We're just giving everyone an opportunity to come on in as I get ready to introduce my wonderful guest for tonight. She has been with me, my goodness, several times, and it is always such a joy and an honor to speak with this beautiful woman who has so much wisdom, so much knowledge that she is willing to share with the world. What I have seen from her is that she makes up her mind to do something and she does it. And she's written several books now. And tonight, I have the honor and the privilege of having her on the show. And she's going to talk a bit about her current project. But as it typically goes with Kieasha and I, we tend to just talk about life and we never really know how the conversation is going to go. So I am so excited that you all get an opportunity to meet the beautiful Kieasha.
Hey, everybody.
How are you?
I'm great. I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. As y'all, I say it every time I have a show. Thankful Thursday.
Amen.
Thankful Thursday. So I don't know what's going on. I can't share the live for some reason on Facebook. I absolutely do not see it on there.
Well, you already know what I'm about to say.
Which is,
it is what it is.
It is what it is, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. It's I'm not sure why it's not showing, so I can't share it, but I do hope that people tune in because this is this is such a wonderful conversation that I know that you and I will have. And what have you been up to? The last time we spoke, I know we were on the show with the gentleman, but I believe the last time you and I spoke, was it with your son? Or I think we spoke after that.
We spoke after that. We did the show with the guys. So yeah, we spoke after that.
Yes. How is that being an empty nester for you?
Well, to be brutally honest, initially I was devastated. And because I only have one child. I only have one son. He's actually on my shirt. I'm representing him tonight, his movie. But I was devastated because I had become so acclimated to taking care of someone. And I know you're familiar, but my son still has an extremely busy schedule. So I was doing this, I was doing that. He was an actor. We were going to the studio because he rapped. He still had to be in school. He still worked a full-time job. And so I was acclimated to the busyness of it all. And so the blessing to that part of it was when you get that quiet time. So now I'm in that point of it. That was like August when I was devastated. Then I got quiet, and now I'm like sitting in the stillness, and it is so therapeutic and so lethargic. And yeah, I really enjoy having my time. So yeah.
So apparently with that time, you've written another book.
I did. So
tell us about that.
Okay, so I'll show you first.
Okay.
The name of the book is Take My Hand.
Okay.
And it's actually a keepsake journal for parents, grandparents, and guardians to basically leave a legacy, leave your thoughts, leave advice, anything and everything that I could think of with regard to me being a motherless daughter and what I would have wanted to hear and what I would have, what I would love to be able to open up. Or I thought about everything. I've actually been working on this project for a while.
Okay.
I think I actually may have mentioned it to you in one of our book groups. Like, it's been years. I had it in my head that it was something I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I never brought it to fruition. So with that peace and that quiet that came with being an empty nester, I just decided to go ahead and get it done. I had started it previously, but I never, did the follow through. And I
Mm-hmm.
also the main reason why I was close to having it finished at the end of last year, but the main reason why I didn't is because I wanted this year. This was the year my son graduated high school, was going
Mm-hmm.
off to college. I wanted any news that I posted, anything that I did to be about him. I wanted everything to be him focused. I'm just huge on that because the memory that he'll have as a grown man is how
Mm-hmm.
much he was loved. How much it mattered to me. I'm like, I've written other books. I'm gonna get him the limelight. So that's why I didn't announce it
Okay.
until once I finished it up this year and did a little extra to it. I added to it. I announced it this year because I wanted to wait until after it wasn't about my son anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Was something that I can only speak from the perspective of a mother. I'm not a father, but something that I noticed that mothers do often is we will put off for our children. I'm just grateful that your putting off didn't cause it to not come to pass. And I, this is just still an encouragement to all of us. Sometimes we got to try our best. It's not easy, but to
That is
balance
a
that
fact.
out, because we will put off and put off and put off. And I could say from personal experience that there are so many things that I've put off where it's just like,
And
okay.
see, that's the gotcha. Like, you also have to be self-aware. That's my thing, my spiel. You
Mm-hmm.
have to be very self-aware.
Mm-hmm.
I am a person that if I start something, I have to finish it. It is
Yes.
a thing. And
Uh-huh.
so because I know that about me, I knew that I wasn't at risk of not finishing it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also, this is more than a keepsake for me. It's a labor of love because of the fact that I lost my mom. And
Mm-hmm.
so, if nothing else, I would have made sure it was done just paying homage to my mom. And
Mm-hmm.
so it was happening no
Mm-hmm.
matter what. And
Mm-hmm.
also, I looked at it like, okay, so this gives you a purpose. This gives you something to do. You're an empty nester. Get over it because we got a book to publish. You know.
Absolutely.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
That's something, I love that you said that, when you say you're going to do something, like you have to get it done because you won't be able to relax. But with this particular book, Take My Hand, when you
Mhm.
said for people to be able to leave their thoughts, you know, we are still reading words that were spoken, words that were written down by people centuries ago.
Mhm.
Isn't that something?
Mhm.
And tonight I know we're talking about legacy, but it's like, what type of imprint are we leaving behind for
Mhm.
not just our children, but for the world?
That's
There's
right.
really impact to be made. And I believe with the way that seems like with your book, the way it's set up, Take My Hand, that is like a guide for some people to go ahead and write their book. Because there are
I
people
hope
that are
so.
older. I know for a fact, there are some people that's just like, oh, they put off, like I said,
Mhm.
when this
Mhm.
child, because somebody like me who has multiple children, it'll start with child number one. Okay, well, when
Mhm.
they go off, and then now you didn't add a second one, and so on and so forth. And so it's like, okay, when the youngest go off to school or what have you, then I'm going to blah 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 blah. You may not even have the energy,
That's right. That's a fact.
by that
That's a
time,
fact.
even give your all. And so right now, it's something about making time for yourself.
Mhm.
We have to do better as that. Again, I can only speak from the perspective as a woman, but just as human beings, period, because men need to do that as well. Take
Mhm.
time for us. And I don't know if you saw the stand up with Earthquake.
Mhm.
You'd have to watch it. And basically, he's encouraging parents, like, you need to take care of yourself, because the truth of the matter is your kids are going to go off and do their own thing.
Now
And
that's a
all
fact.
those years of sacrificing and putting off, and you sacrifice for good reason, but all of that putting off for them, only to sometimes like forget that like you the reason that part a big part of the reason why they here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not worth that.
Yeah, they
It's not
definitely
worth
do.
that for you. That hanging on you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they definitely do go off and live their lives and um, act irritated when you call. Yeah, so that's a fact. Also, but I wanted to piggyback on something you said. Not only do I hope that this book, along with anything else that I do, motivates other people to do whatever it is that they feel like is their purpose, but also um, this is literally, it's called Take My Hand because it's literally your own words. Yes, I facilitated it. It's a journal. I put, all of the different things in there that I would have wanted to be able to reflect back to with my mom. I
Mhm.
really thought about it in reference to what am I leaving my son? You know
Yeah.
how every parent has that area in the house that's a box. Hey, if anything ever happens to me, put all of my important documentation in the box. That is
Mm.
the purpose of this. This is not a sit on the counter book. This is
Okay.
a fill this out, and it's for each of your children. And when you're done, put it in that box that you told them to look in. And this
Mm.
is something that they'll have for the rest of their lives to look back on.
Wow.
Um, I do other things too. Like I have a email account that's strictly set up for my son and myself, pictures of us over the years. I record our conversations when they're really good, and I send
Mm.
those to that email so that if anything happens with the cloud or
Mm.
anything ever happens, he always has those memories because I have a hard time remembering my mom's voice. She
Yeah.
died in 2011. And
Mm.
so it's little things like that. Then, of course, I take and pay attention to because I no longer have that parent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And the thing is that I can understand that because my mom transitioned in 2002. And what's interesting when you said like you send the recordings to your email,
Hmm.
in our mind, our mother sounded a certain way.
Yep.
And one of my cousins, my mom passed a day after her birthday.
Wow.
A day, so
Sorry.
the day of her birthday, my mother left her, listen, answering machine, left her a
Hmm.
message on the answer machine. Now you know that's old because
Hmm.
answer machines. And my cousin saved it immediately. I was so happy that she did that because
Good.
I did not have a lot of video. I don't
Hmm.
even know if there was any video, not to my knowledge, that I don't own any video of my mother. And to
Hmm.
hear my mother's voice
Hmm.
was so amazing. And when I allowed my children to hear, and this was some years ago, they said that she sounded like one of my sisters. Like
Hmm.
I hear her voice, but it's like hearing that recording was so different. And as you were speaking, I was just reflecting rather, excuse me, of questions that I have for her, answers that I know that I won't be able to receive. And I believe that that is one of the best gifts that
Hmm.
we as parents can leave our children. It's like it's the Bible. It's the Bible coming from your mama, like
Hmm.
or your father, whomever decides to write these things down. Which I really encourage men to do as well, because it's the children need to hear your voice as well. Something
Yep.
my grandfather told me before he passed, he would say, "You're not gonna hear me until I'm gone." And there are certain phrases that he
Yes.
used over the years that have stuck with me, and I find myself repeating them now. But it
Hmm.
would be so nice to have his words, and that's something.
Hmm.
And you and I have some things in common because
Hmm.
I've done that, even with my grandparents. I thank God, like if I felt like I need to record this, or there are conversations, and he and I had candid conversations, even with my grandmother, I recorded it because you just don't know.
Yep.
And one of the conversations, and this is an encouragement to people, because we assume that we are going to have each other the rest of the day, tomorrow, the rest of the week, the rest of the year. People making plans already for next year. We don't even know if we're going to cross over into that.
That's
So
right.
we have to actually, and my grandfather was big on this as well, prepare for something that is definitely going to happen. I don't
Yep.
care how well you eat, how much you exercise, and that's all good, but it will not stop the inevitable. It will not
That's the
stop.
fact.
You know.
And you know, people are passing away younger and younger. I see it all up and down my timeline. You know, nobody is promised tomorrow. You barely promised today. You know, like that's just a fact. I say thank you, God, every day when I wake
Mhm.
up. We're just not promised that. And so I want to know, like you made a mention of the fact earlier that we're still rereading things that people said
Mhm.
decades ago.
Mhm.
And that to me is that was the premise of it. Like another thing you said, like we don't really know their past. So in the book, I actually put a section. Hold on, I want to go to it so that I could.
Of course.
But the section is called "Things You Didn't Know About Me."
Mm.
Because what I find is, and I mean, even in talking to my son, um, it's actually things you didn't know about me, and it's did you know? And
Mhm.
even in talking to my son, you know, when you talk about things you used to do back in the day, they're like, because they only know you as a parent.
Oh, yes.
You know
Yes.
what I mean? And I think that it's beneficial for you to introduce who you were. And like I put things in there like my hidden talents. I struggled with this. My best childhood memories. I wish I made time for. My best adulthood memories. I'm happiest when. I'm saddest when. My dream job was. I'm most proud of. Things
Mhm.
that I still have on my bucket list.
Mhm.
You know, things like that. Um, that kind of give them insight on you as a person.
Mhm.
Um, and just it's so many things. Like I'm a huge communicator, of course. So my son and myself talk a lot, but I would definitely challenge parents to really get to know your children for real.
Mhm. Mhm.
Not the even if you're a strict disciplinarian, not the child that you trained,
Mhm.
not who they are in front of you, but really get to know their personalities.
Mhm.
Um, what they are actually a friend of mine and I just had this conversation because I said, you know, when I was growing up, I did hair. I was a cosmetologist, but I
Mhm.
started doing hair at 16. And I had everybody in my room. I was like super popular doing this one hairstyle, just so
Mhm.
it was natural. It was, and I loved it. I
Mhm.
would do everybody's hair for the dance and not go because I'm exhausted because I did 10 people's hair today. Now I had the entrepreneurial spirit very early on, but my
Mhm.
parents were sticklers for you have to go to college.
Mm.
And so I went to college, but my sister said, why are you all sending her to college when you should be sending her to hair school and
Mhm.
opening her up a shop? Like it's evident what she wants to do. She
Mhm.
doesn't have to go and find it out, you know. But I
Mhm.
said that to say this, fast forward, I was actually just talking to you about this. I
Mhm.
wanted to do polar opposite for my son. I wanted to get to know him. If
Mhm.
you play the flute, I want to take interest and help you to exercise that talent.
Mhm.
Whatever it is that you are good at, I have
Yeah.
to actually get to know you to pay attention to that. I don't
Mhm.
want to just throw you on this team and whether you sitting on a bench or not, tell you that that's what you're gonna do.
Mhm.
Because ultimately, as parents, we end up wasting our time and money if that's not really what they want to do
Right.
or who they are.
Mhm.
So, if you know, like a lot of, I could go on and on.
No, but but like I told you before we went live, this is about you. I interview individuals so that we can talk about them and their experience. And I know you're not good at listening because you have a
Mhm.
problem with rules
I do.
and instructions.
Look at my face.
But let me go back to something that you were saying
Hmm.
in regards to some of the prompts, the writing prompts that you have in the journal.
Hmm.
I think it's important that we allow our children to see us as human beings, not as God.
Yes.
And so there may be things about them that they don't understand, you
Hmm.
know, that they could have possibly gotten from us, but we hide it
Hmm.
because sometimes we can be too concerned about our image as parents, but we have to allow our children to see our humanity. It is that
Yes.
now, that is important. Now, some people run with that, always have to have the society that we live in now. You can't just throw statements out there anymore because people just run with it. Yes, still use wisdom. You don't do any and everything with your children because there's just some things that children should not be exposed to.
Mm-hmm.
However, let them know that you are a human being that
Yes, ma'am.
have weaknesses, that
Mm-hmm.
have struggles, because sometimes that's what can create the gap between parent and child when
Mm-hmm.
it's we're correcting, not giving them examples of, you know what, listen, I understand that, because what children don't realize too is that we've been their age.
Mm-hmm.
You have
Mm-hmm.
yet to be in your 40s. I've
Mm-hmm.
been every number from 0 to
Mm-hmm.
40, now 44.
Yep.
You haven't gotten here yet.
Mm-hmm.
That's my grandfather say, keep living. You haven't gotten here yet, but I appreciate that you had that in there, because over time we start to forget.
Yep.
And it is wonderful to be able to just go pick up this book and say,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that's what my mother was talking about. That's
Mm-hmm.
what my father was talking about. That's crucial.
Yeah, I definitely tried to. I told you I've been thinking about it for a while. I tried to hit every point, anything that I would have thought of. Like if your parent passes away before your big moment, there's an area in the book that says, "In case I missed your special day," and where
Mm-hmm.
you would tell them how beautiful they look on their wedding day, or "I'm proud of you for graduating," or whatever, because it's your words. But I wanted to hit every point. There's a section about what our favorite memories together, what my favorite memories of us are. There's a
Mm-hmm.
section about home remedies, old wives' tales.
Okay.
Um, because my mom died in 2011, and I still think about things like, oh, I need to sew this. I forgot how to hem. What did she tell me?
Mm-hmm.
Like things like that, that in the moment may seem so insignificant. I mean, when it's not in the moment, it seems so insignificant.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's happening, you like, well, what did she do? Or didn't she put sugar in this recipe?
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever the case may be. There's an area for that too. Your favorite recipes growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I
That's
try to
yeah.
remember everything.
Mm-hmm. That is so fun. That is so phenomenal. What a treat that your son will have. And one thing I've noticed with the two of you, like you all talk, because when
Yeah.
I interviewed the both of you, my goodness, I think that was last year sometime. And I love just how comfortable he was, sitting next to his mom. Some teenagers, I don't know, it's just this awkwardness that they have. It's the weirdest thing to me. They can be a
Hmm.
little weird around their parent, but he was just so calm and just really ahead of his time.
Well, you know why? Because we weren't always that way.
Mm,
Because I was the parent that um, I was talking about earlier. I'm extremely transparent.
I
I
love
was
it.
the single mom that was so busy working and trying to keep a roof over our heads and make sure that
Mhm,
my African American son stayed out of trouble and all of these things. I never missed a game. I've always been a great mom and always been present. But a lot of times we're present and not really there. And so there were a lot of things that I missed along the way because, as you stated a little earlier in the conversation, a lot of times, we see one version of them, which is
mhm,
why the kids, seem to act a little weird around their parents because they're being the representative. They're being the version of themselves that the parents basically accept. And
mhm,
my son had to tell me during the pandemic is when we really locked in, talked about everything. The reason he's comfortable is because he's introduced himself to me. We're able to talk about without judgment. We
mhm,
can talk about literally anything, like it'll blow people's minds.
mhm,
Some of the things that we talk about,
mhm,
but I there's no judgment
mhm,
because of the fact, like you said, I've been a teenager. Now I haven't been a teenager in 2023,
Mm-hmm.
but I've been a teenager. I've been there. I can relate to a certain extent. So I'm never judgmental. Like, that's why we're at this place. We weren't always there because he was being who he was supposed to be in front of me for the longest.
Mm-hmm.
And
Isn't that
so
awesome?
go ahead.
No, keep going. I'm just listening. I'm just taking it in.
Yeah, so for the longest, like, I knew him, but I didn't know him. And one day during the pandemic, I said, you know what? We're gonna take I'm gonna take off work. I was working from home. He was, of course, going to school from home. I said, we're gonna take the day and just talk and get to know each other. And he was like, no, so not into it. And I said, this is the day where I want you to tell me everything that I missed.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, if I cry, don't stop talking, because that's another thing. Oftentimes, our children want us to know if they're struggling in certain areas or if something's going on. And if you make one sound, they're going to be quiet and shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So I told him, if I cry, don't stop. If I'm, if I make a face, don't stop. Whatever you do, don't stop talking. I will not interrupt you. And I'm talking about Latoya. I don't know what I was thinking, but I found out so much that I didn't know, or that I missed, or that I knew and brushed over it because I was too busy focused on just, being a parent in robot mode. And I'm talking about, I thought, not that I was doing a horrible job, but I thought I didn't miss a beat or skip a beat, because my thought process was, I'm at every game, I'm super active and all of that, but there was still little things that I missed that could have had him go in the total opposite direction, than the direction that he's going in now. Now, please don't get it twisted. My son will tell you too, he is still himself. He is still himself, but it was so refreshing, and I'm so grateful. I tell him, he just was here for Thanksgiving. I always tell him I'm so grateful that we have the relationship that we do. And that he trusts me enough to be able to tell me the truth, knowing that I won't judge him.
Yeah, that's important. That Fedeline, she made a comment. She said it really encourages self-expression. And I know that is really important for us to be able to show up in life, to be able to, we have to train our children to be able to express themselves, because I believe what has happened is so many children were shut down at a young age where you couldn't show, frustration. Now, don't get me wrong. Again, this is one of those pause breaks where you can express yourself, but you're not going to disrespect me. So it's one of those moments where it's just like, this is so rich, because it's like we have to teach our children to be able to get those thoughts out. I believe that's why so many people are having so much struggle right now. But I want to make sure that I share this stream correctly. I thank you all so much for tuning in. Those of you that have, we're going to go to a very quick commercial break, Kieasha, and then we're going to jump right back in, because that's a lot to unpack right there. The fact that, that self-expression is so important for us. So we'll be right back, you all, in just a moment.
Hey, it's your girl, Tia Robertson. I'm the host of Entrepreneur Insider. Every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern for entrepreneurs and news that you need to know about. See you there.
Okay, we back. Look, I done took my glasses off, girl. This it's it's so amazing. But I thank those of you that are still tuned into the show. And if this is your first time, feel free to comment. And I thank Narada for participating, but also be willing. You can ask Kieasha a question as well. I see the shirt. I know you said you're representing your son, but let's just talk about that real quick. What's going on here?
Okay, so this shirt is actually, let me see if I can show you guys his movie that actually premiered in March. And the movie is called And Just Like That, but it's spelled DAT. It's on Tubi now. And my son plays a role in it. He has another movie coming out in March of next year. Okay. So you guys be on the lookout for that. But I am his number one fan. So really quickly though, what kind of lip gloss do you have on?
Kieasha, let me tell you this. You all, first of all, if you're watching, if you heard me earlier say that Kieasha does not like to follow instructions.
No.
She does not follow instructions well. And so what I am wearing my daughter Sade's lip color.
And where can we purchase that?
Listen, I told Kieasha, you all, as well. I told her, I said, usually every time I do a show, if I remember, which would be terrible, I will make sure that I, promote my daughter, because again, this is legacy. And the name of this lip color is Latoya. What she did was she used all of the women's names in her family as the names of her lipsticks. Like she loved.
That's dope.
Isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm interviewing you, but I love that you put that out there. So if you happen to like my lip color, she has other lip colors. This is just, I love a deep purple. And so that's why she named this lip color after me. And I will say this, it is long lasting. I'm not just saying it because it's my daughter, but she stays on top of it. So if you do like my lip color, I have it going on the ticker at the bottom. Okay. So where can they see your son's movie? How would they be able to stream that?
So all they have to do is go to Tubi. It's actually streaming on Tubi now.
Oh, okay.
And it is called And Just Like That. And you spell that though, DAT.
Okay.
And this is actually what'll come up. Shameless plug. No. And so that's actually what will come up, and it's excellent. So definitely go out and support him and his other castmates. Yes. Very well done movie.
Awesome. I love that you really speak, you speak highly of your son. And, some of us, we learn from others. It should be the each one teach one. We should all learn from someone. And you know that you may, like you mentioned before, there are things that you didn't do right earlier on. And it happens. Like we get caught up in the busyness of life. And before we know it, our children are adults.
Absolutely. Because you blink and it is over.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's over. So it is imperative that we make time. This is an encouragement to anyone that's watching. Somebody may say, well, I'm not a parent. You may be one day, or it's not even just that. You don't have to be a parent when it comes to legacy.
That's right.
I wasn't related, like we said earlier. I'm not related to a lot of people that have left a lasting impression. They are long gone. I could still read James Baldwin.
That's right.
I could still read and listen to Malcolm X. I can still. Angela Davis, I can still. Toni Morrison, I can still, because they made time to get up and speak somewhere. They made time to write something down. Word of God says, write it down and make it plain.
Amen.
that we lose ourselves in trying to be so perfect. Well, somebody may watch this stream later and go, well, I'm not eloquent. Well, with my work,
Mhm.
there's a word called Google, and you
That's
could
right.
put a word and you could put a synonym for it. Okay.
Mhm.
Synonym
Mhm.
for whatever. But be authentic. Because that
That's
was a word that you used earlier. Like, you don't have to sound like some scholar. Let's leave our children with the real, because like I said, we don't know that. Like, I'm someone that experienced my parent passing away, my mother passing away suddenly.
mhm.
So there wasn't some gradual, mom's been given a diagnosis for 6 months, and some people get that and they go, oh, they hate that. But for someone like me whose mother was, I was just told she's gone.
Mhm.
Even if I had known I had 6 months, I would have been asking everything.
Yep. And
And so,
see, that's actually speaking to that. I'm definitely sorry that happened because I can't imagine that. But that's what happened with us, the latter, with me and my sisters. She
mhm,
got a diagnosis of cancer and it was already stage 4.
mhm,
So we went from her and my dad kind of tried to hide it from us. So we went from finding out to the back and forth trips to the hospital and the rehabilitation center to her having surgery and us thinking things will be okay to it spreading through her body. So from the time we found out and the time she passed away was a 2-year period. In
mhm,
that 2 years, I did exactly what you just said, and it still wasn't enough. I
mhm,
did let's talk about everything.
mhm.
Let's, what did you do as a teenager? I did that because I actually took care of my mom. And anytime she was spoiled rotten, she was like that though before she got sick. Like I was a mama's girl.
Mhm.
So, any opportunity to just talk to her, I did that. But my mom didn't have me till she was almost 40. So I was the youngest. And she
Mm,
was that old school mom where a lot of things went with her. A
okay.
lot of things, how old school parents are. A lot of things they're just not going to tell you,
Mm-mm.
or aren't. It's taboo. We're not going to discuss it, and so that's why transparency for me as a parent is so extremely. It's just invaluable
It is.
because here we are with all of these questions and no answers, and we don't know, how you got there or how did you get in your career. Just anything that I could think of. A
Mhm.
lot of questions are still unanswered for me.
Yeah. You know,
Um,
you have a question though. I'm not. It just came through. But
okay.
what was the thing that most surprised your son about you that he didn't know?
Um, so here's the thing. That's a really good question.
Thank you,
So
Narada.
here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
My son, um, even before I became an author, I am so dedicated. I just told Toya this earlier. I am so dedicated, and you could call it overcompensation because I was a single mom, but I am so dedicated to all things chance oriented
Mm-hmm.
that when I started to write books, like this is my 11th publication. When I
Wow.
started to write books and do interviews, or when we go places and people know who I am, or tell him, "Ooh, cause your mom," cause he looked at me in that one light
Mm-hmm.
until opportunity presented itself for him to see that I was so much more than just Chance's mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually apologized to him for that because he's super personable. He is the male version of me in how he does things and how he's not shy. But he didn't get a chance to see that
Mm-hmm.
until after I became an author. He didn't even know that part of me existed,
Mm-hmm.
other than to push him. So I think that he was surprised. He always tells me, "Mom, you're so smart," because I talk to him like I'm talking right now. Everything's a speech. Everything is a analogy.
Please stop. What else?
It's the truth.
But I'm laughing because when I start talking, it's who we are. you know, and they'll appreciate that, as my shirt says. And I think, as my grandfather would say, keep living. Like, I literally have it tattooed, and my cousin got a shirt, keep living, which I'm going to make sure if you like this shirt, because it's a true statement, keep living, because we are just trying to give them some gems. And my cousin Lauren, I'm going to put her information up there. She's a licensed therapist, and therapy is important. So this is the number that you all see at the bottom. Not only does she offer therapy, but also you can call her about this Keep Living t-shirt. But the reason why I wanted to mention that is because my children do the same thing. When they may bring up something, it's like all of a sudden it's just like, we're not trying to do it, but it's just who we are.
Mm-hmm.
You provide life application.
I
because
do.
You want them to be the best human being that they can be. You
I
provide
do.
life application. And that's all that is. That's, I just thought I would say that. It's like, we're not trying to give them a sermon every time, but still.
And guess what? I do it. Here's whether you believe in science or not, I'm a Taurus. So not only do I provide life application, but I'm not apologizing for it because I know it's life application. So I'm not doing a disclosure like this is why. I'm telling you what it is. Now you can do it or not, but like I always tell him, you can't unhear it. And it's just like church. Once you introduce spirituality to your children, no matter which direction they go in, there will come a time in their lives where that spirituality comes out. God is going to be a part of them forever. So my words, you may not listen now. I used to tell him all the time when he was like 13. I would start the conversation off like this. Listen, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the 21-year-old version of you.
Wow.
I'm not talking to this version of you. I'm talking to the 18-year-old version of you. Or I'm talking to the version of you who'll be somebody's dad one day, or who'll be somebody's husband one day. And you may not even listen to what I'm saying, but you hear it. So it'll be a part of your mental Rolodex for the rest of your life. Just like I speak or say something and I hear my mom's voice. You don't do that on purpose. It's just really a part of your DNA.
It is.
It's nothing you can do.
You can't escape it.
No, you can't.
And this conversation is so rich. Like I wrote on the description that, you're such a, like I knew like your wisdom, your knowledge, like that you would drop just true gems for people, because sometimes we get stuck at where we were, and you're not there anymore,
Nope.
So what we're going to do, Kieasha, we're going to close out because I'm going to talk to you after this. But before we close out, what I want you to say is, I tend to end my show with what I know now. I want you to speak to that statement, what I know now.
Okay. Do you want, okay, I'm just going to go with it.
Just go with it.
What I know now is that I am enough, which is why I'm able to tell my son he's enough.
That's important. I love it. I wanted to thank those of you that may watch this stream later, those of you that have hung in there with us tonight. It has been a wonderful conversation. There's so much more that Kieasha has to say, and we are going to definitely, have you back on. Thank you so much, Fedeline, for joining in. If you want her book, please go on Amazon. I know you mentioned Amazon is the paperback copy. Lulu is the spiral bound copy. So I'm more of I like a little bit more sturdy.
Me too.
Please support her. Even, and I believe that's a great gift. I believe that book where we have to do the work as individuals will be therapeutic as well. So I just thank you for coming on. I thank all of you for joining me as always. I always want you to be safe and be great. I have one more show and I'm closing out the year. So next week will be my last show. And I just hope that you all have a wonderful night.
Bye, everyone.